Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from PettyRevenge. Story 1 is by No Pomegranate 4794. I and a group purposefully walked in front of someone's camera who was recording in the gym. I'll start this off by saying this was a group effort. Now, I was at my local gym and it was pretty busy. I had managed to find an empty bench where the dumbbell racks were. Another woman had also set up shop on a bench, but rather than using the bench for its intended purposes, she was using it to hold her things. Instead, she had her camera set up right in front of the rack, like it was propped up against the rack while she lifted her weights about 4 feet in front of the dumbbells. It was really annoying, and I was upset because I was in her shot and didn't want to be recorded. I was about to go to the front desk and tell an employee when I see a man walk in front of her camera to put his weights down. The woman got a disgruntled look on her face, stopped lifting, walked over to the camera, and I guess she stopped recording and restarted it. She started lifting again when the same man walked in front of the camera, and that's when I noticed he purposefully went out of his way to walk in front of her camera. She, once again, stopped lifting to stop the camera and looked even more frustrated. She turned to the man and said, "Could you not? You can see I'm recording." To which he responded, "Could you not? You can see people are trying to actually work out." After that, she went back to what she was doing, recording, but more people started going out of their way to walk between her and her camera. I joined in too, adding an overly polite, "Excuse me," along with a smile when I did so. Finally, she gave up, looking as if she wanted to throw a temper tantrum, and stormed out of the gym. Most gyms have policy where you cannot record while you're working out. If you want to record yourself working out, set up a gym at home. Do your weightlifting at home. Buy some dumbbells and do it there. It's obnoxious when people record at the gym. A lot of people go there, they don't want to be on camera at all. They just want to do their workout. Our next story is by Unremarkable Duckling. How I dealt with a pickpocketer at work. On my previous job, we had lockers for our stuff. Company was running some education thing with local high schools, and every few days they would bring students to observe the work and teachers would conduct exams with the bosses. Those students would also be required to change into uniform and wear safety stuff like gloves and such, meaning they had access to changing rooms. Eventually, I noticed that some small amount of pocket money went missing from my jacket, and those lockers were old and really easy to pry open. We knew about it, company knew about it, incidents happened before, but response was always, "We will fix it next month." Then, my perfume went missing and my new hat. I lost it then. Next day, I knew students were coming. So I took a few pens and blew ink out and covered a few small bills with the ink and put it inside the jacket pocket. Later that day, sure enough, some 16-year-old jerk is walking around the halls with inky fingers. I then proceeded to make an announcement that my money and stuff was stolen, and that I now have evidence of who it was. I also said that if they quietly come and admit to me, I won't report it to the teachers. The look of the shame was priceless on his face. Our next story is by, inappropriate word, vampire. 2 girls rolled their eyes at me at a restaurant while I was only trying to be nice. Fine. Keep waiting, then. I was having lunch at this restaurant last Sunday with my friend. All the other tables were occupied. 2 girls appeared, but since it was packed and there was no empty tables, nor vacant seat, they just stood there awkwardly, looking around waiting for some people to get up and leave. I told them we're almost finished so they could have our table after we left. But instead of being thankful, they just threw me a dirty look and rolled their eyes as if I was trying to flirt with them. My face went red and I didn't know what to say. I was just trying to be nice. It wasn't as if I was trying to initiate small talk with them or anything. Then my embarrassment turned to anger. The least they could do is just nod their heads. Then I heard one of them say to the other maybe they should just go to another restaurant. And her friend said no because it was the only Chinese restaurant in the vicinity of their place, and also because that guy, she pointed at me with her lips in a not-so-subtle way, was almost done. Fine. I raised my hand and called one of the waiters and told her we would like to have more drinks, which she brought out a few minutes later. My friend was trying so hard to stifle his laughter, I swear he broke a rib or two. While we very slowly ate the rest of our meal, the rude girls left quickly soon after. I hope that they actually did rudely roll their eyes and kind of snub you, and instead of just being, some people are just socially awkward and they don't know how to reply when somebody's being kind to them randomly. Because in one of those situations, what you did is totally deserved. In the other, you would be trolling. Somebody down in the comments also shared their own story. By Ruble. I had a table and couch at the Chandelier Bar at the Cosmopolitan in Vegas. Late in the night, this seating was highly coveted, but I'm a guy in my 40s, so my friends and I get there earlier when all the seats are still available. After a few hours of drinking, my friends went separate ways and I was sitting alone at the couch and table. A group of 3 ladies in their 20s make 3 trips around the bar looking for seats, and I figure I'll make this my last drink. As they passed, I leaned in and said, "This is my last drink, you have the seats." 2 of the girls only saw an old guy they aren't attracted to and made an ew gross face and turned away. The 3rd leaned in and said, "Thanks." She stepped over to talk to her friends who were still adamantly opposed to being anywhere near me, and they just shook their heads and turned away. The 3rd girl just sat down, politely smiled, and again said, "Thanks." I finished my drink and stood up. As I walked away, the 3rd girl was reading her friends the riot act. In case anyone else is wondering what the riot act is, because I'd never heard of this myself, it's being severely and sternly reprimanded for something. She was basically telling them, you guys are in the wrong and here's why. So, reading the riot act means you're being reprimanded or scolded by somebody for something. That's what I gathered from my tiny bit of Googling. If anybody knows any other meanings for what the riot act is, please let me know. Our last story today is by ZZZ Top. So you put an expensive tracker on my $400 truck and you want it back? An insurance company has been investigating our shop for supposedly insurance fraud over a car with a bad engine that was replaced with what we and the cops later found out to be a stolen one. A few weeks ago, I noticed a clean spot on my really dirty truck that I never wash and checked it out and found a GPS tracker. I didn't plan on keeping the truck this year and had plans to ship it to Mexico in the spring. I told my friend about the tracker and he said he's going to take care of it when he picks the truck up. My friend took the truck into the most cartel-infested place in Sonora and disabled it there. I already had a new truck under someone else's name, so I drove that around to parts stores and dealers. I was leaving a dealer when a clean-cut guy asked me if I owned an old truck, and I told them I used to. He then identified himself as a private detective working for the insurance company and was curious about what happened to my old truck. I cracked a joke that sometimes it wanders off at night and usually comes back when it's on a quarter of a tank, usually around 6 to 8 months. He tried to nonchalantly ask me where the truck might physically be, and that's when I told him I had found the tracker. He knew, I knew, and his tone changed, asking for it back like a kid who got his ball bullied away from him. I told him the truck is in Mexico with a written address for it, and who to talk to about getting it back. He knew he couldn't call the cops because his butt would get arrested, but tried again to demand his GPS back. I brushed him off and told him he can get it back from Mexico himself. That was the last I saw of him. We found another GPS in a different truck at work, so we took it to the desert and blew it up. I'm sure they've been GPSing us thinking we have some kind of insane stolen car parts hoard. But all our stuff comes from dealers and scrapyards. So the place that you work installed an illegal stolen engine. One that you guys probably got from a scrapyard. Not entirely your fault, but why aren't you guys providing them the list of names of scrapyards you deal with? Like, it sounds like you're being a little obtuse. That doesn't make it okay for a private investigator to be throwing a tracker on your car. And he certainly doesn't get it back when you guys do away with it. People in the comments were wondering where OP could find a $400 truck, and he said that you can get vehicles like this from scrapyards that have some small problem with them that people just can't figure out, and if you can fix it, then you can get it for like $400. I definitely get the vibe through your $400 truck and you sending this private investigator on this little goose chase that you guys aren't doing entirely legal business. Anybody else get that vibe? Is it just me? I don't know. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe or click the notification bell so you get alerts when videos drop. Until we meet again, have a glorious day.